Hey everyone, and welcome to Chef AJ Live. I'm your host, Chef AJ, and this is where I introduce you to amazing people like you who are doing great things in the world that I think you should know about. My guest today is Amy Katz. She is from the blog Veggies Save the Day, so I wore a very special shirt for her. I don't know if I can even stand up that tall to show you the whole thing, and my broccoli earrings, because I agree, veggies are so important and they do save the day. Please welcome Amy to the show. I love the name of your blog.
Oh, thank you so much, Chef AJ. I'm so excited to be here. I've been a fan of yours over the years, and when you lived in LA, I did catch you at a couple of local veg fests, so that was really exciting. And if I'm sure everyone can imagine, but you definitely had the biggest audience of anyone at the Veg Fest.
Oh, thanks. If only they'd pay the big bucks, right?
Yeah, really.
Thank you so much. Thank you. So how did you think of your name for your blog? I think it's a great name, by the way.
Oh, yeah. You know what? When I was thinking about starting a blog, I was going through a bunch of different names. And, I was really envisioning like veggies were like the superhero of your meals. So basically, like when you couldn't decide what you should make for dinner that night, or even, breakfast or lunch, you could open your refrigerator and there in the produce drawer would be these veggies and they would save the day.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I actually, because I'm meeting you for the first time. So to prepare for this interview, I listened to a podcast with you, and you said something I thought was really interesting, how you went to a Montessori school and you think that is why you were so, your palate was so accepting of vegetables.
Yeah, that's a funny story because, when I was little for 1 year of preschool, my parents sent me to a Montessori school, and they have a different kind of learning curriculum. And one of the things that we did was we learned about like preparing vegetables and fruit and, trying different foods. And so I clearly remember coming home one day and telling my mom how much I loved raw turnips. And I think turnips was something that we never had at home. But we went to the grocery store that week and she let me pick out some turnips, and I peeled them when I got home and ate them for a snack, and I absolutely loved them. But one of my greatest memories growing up was going shopping with my mom or with both of my parents on the weekends. And we would go to a local produce store that they were like pretty much all produce. And so they had everything that you could imagine, like different fruits and vegetables from all around the world. And it was just so much fun to walk around and pick out different things that we'd never tried before. And I'm just so grateful that my mom was such an adventurous cook and she loved trying new things like that. So, we would come home with, I remember one of my favorites was snow peas, and we would just pick up just all different things and then figure out how we could use them in our food.
That's so cool. I didn't have steamed turnips until, gosh, in my 60s when they served them at Rancho La Puerta. And I actually thought they were potatoes. And I remember saying to the maitre d', I said, I said, this is very good, but these potatoes, they're so soft. And he told me they were turnips because I had raw turnips when I was going to raw culinary school, because we used them, we would slice them on the mandolin very thin and use them like for ravioli. So wow, that's so cool that you got exposed to veggies so young, because when I talk to people like Dr. Nicole Avena, like people in the food addiction space, they say it is so important to expose children to a wide variety of vegetables when they're young, even if they refuse them at first, because, it's pretty easy to get kids and other people to eat fruit. But I agree with you. I think vegetables are sorely under valued for what they do for us in terms of our health and our weight and our skin. And, I love how Dr. Furman says, if you don't like veggies, you better live close to a hospital.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, and I think with kids too, if you get them involved in the process of, going shopping and prepping the vegetables and cooking, I think that it makes them want to try new things more because, versus just having something show up on a plate and then it's like, ooh, what's that? I don't know. That's different. I don't like that. But if they're involved in the whole process, then I think that really makes them more adventurous as well.
Yeah. What's interesting is I didn't eat any fruits and vegetables till I was 43. I had been vegan for 26 years, but I was one of those junk food vegans. But you actually were somebody that ate vegetables even before you were vegan.
Yeah, it's really interesting. And again, a lot of the credit goes to my late mother because she was definitely a foodie before we used that term. And even though we were not vegan or vegetarian, we still ate a diet that had a large amount of produce in it. And, even back then, I know my parents said that I never really liked eating meat a lot, that I was usually drawn more towards the vegetables. Like say we made a stir fry, I would just be all about the vegetables in it. So, I think that having that exposure at a young age, it did help me a lot along my journey. And, it wasn't until later when I was a teenager that I, learned more of that, like, oh, some people are vegetarians or vegans. And, I met other kids that they grew up that way. I also met a lot of kids that maybe grew up in households where they had a lot of different international cuisine, maybe like a lot of Japanese food or Mexican food, and they used a lot of vegetables in their meals as well. And so I think just this great exposure to different kinds of cuisines really helped me develop my palate a lot. And, eventually as a teenager, I decided, I didn't really like meat that much. So but I couldn't cook for myself at the time, so we compromised, and I became I just didn't eat red meat, and then it wasn't until later in life that I actually started eliminating more and more animal products. So I think that's what's the great thing about eating more plant-based is it doesn't have to be all at once. It can be a lifelong journey, and I think that people can discover this way of eating at all different ages. Like you said too, you discovered in your 40s, all these different vegetables and fruits. So, it's never too late to start. So I, want to encourage anyone watching that you can always add more fruits and vegetables to your diet. And even if your whole family isn't on board, you can get them to do little by little, and, every little bit counts, whether it's for your health or the animals or the environment, it's not an all or nothing thing. So, it's just never too late to start.
Absolutely. When did you become vegan or plant-based? I know some people prefer one term over the other. How long?
Yeah, I call myself vegan. So it was 10 years ago that I became vegan, and I was, again, I little by little stopped eating certain things. So, I stopped eating red meat when I was like 15 or 16. And then later, I started taking out other things. I was actually lactose intolerant. So in my early 20s, I pretty much stopped eating dairy. But I'd say the last things that I stopped eating were fish and seafood, and then eggs, which eggs, I wasn't a huge egg person, but eggs are in a lot of things that we buy. So that was probably the last thing that I stopped eating. So I was probably vegetarian for about 3 months. And then I decided, you know what, let's just get rid of the eggs and I'm vegan.
Very cool. I love it. Well,
Yeah.
how long after becoming vegan did you start your blog?
Yeah, so after I became vegan, I was fortunate enough to meet a lot of people either online or in person who were also vegan. And I started sharing what I was cooking on Instagram. And so a lot of people there said, hey, why don't you start a blog so you can have all your recipes there? And, at the time I had no idea how to do it, but I saw like other people that I knew and that I admired had blogs. So I figured, why not give it a try? And so it started as a hobby, and I just really, really enjoyed it. And so I learned more about how I could turn it into a business. And then a few years ago, I was able to leave my full-time job and blog for my career.
Wow. I always wonder how you make a career out of blogging. What was your job before blogging?
Yeah, so it really had nothing to do with blogging, but I was an accountant at a real estate company. So one of the things, though, that did help me from that previous career was, not being afraid of using a computer. So, kind of the back end technical stuff, I think, came to me a little bit easier. And then also, with blogging, as really any job these days, there's some things that aren't as fun as others. So, it's always fun to create recipes and take photos and things like that. But, some of the tech stuff is not as fun. But I think being in a career like accounting, which, let's be honest, is kind of boring, it kind of got me used to doing those repetitive, boring things on a regular basis.
That's great. That's great. So what are you going to make for us today?
Yeah, so today I am going to make a Hearts of Palm Ceviche. And it's really great this time of the year because it's a no-cook recipe. So we're just going to be slicing up some things, putting them in a bowl, combining them together with some lime juice. And then we can either refrigerate it and have it later, or we can eat it right away. And Hearts of Palm is a great substitute for fish or seafood. It has a really kind of mild, neutral taste, a little bit similar to artichoke hearts or white asparagus. So anything that we put with the Hearts of Palm is kind of gonna, the Hearts of Palm are gonna absorb those flavors. So we're gonna be using some red onion and some jalapeno peppers and lots of fresh lime juice. And it's going to be the same method that you would use if you were making a traditional seafood ceviche, but ours is going to be completely vegan and plant-based.
Nice. Now, let's just say, I see Hearts of Palm just in the regular grocery store, but if somebody couldn't find it, could they use cauliflower? Is there something else they could use?
That's a great question. Cauliflower is the perfect substitute. So I actually have another recipe on my blog that's for cauliflower ceviche. And so what you would do in that case is you would just, separate your cauliflower into florets, and then you would steam them or blanch them until they're just tender, and then immediately chill them in some ice water, and then you would chop those up, just roughly chop it, and then you would just proceed with the recipe and using that cauliflower instead of the Hearts of Palm. Nice. But fortunately, Hearts of Palm, they're easier to find these days. And I really like these ones from Trader Joe's. I know you're a big Trader Joe's fan too. And, they just come in the can. They have the pop top here. So we're going to use 2 cans, and I'm going to open it and I'm going to show you what the Hearts of Palm look like. So they're just packed in water and they just look like this. So it's kind of like rings. And the ones from Trader Joe's are nice and firm. So some brands you'll find they're kind of falling apart a little bit more, but these ones are firm. So we're just gonna chop those up. So, and they're like different sizes. So this one is a little bit bigger, you can see, than this one. And we're just gonna kind of thinly slice them. And if they fall apart a little bit, that's okay too. We don't really care about that. We're kind of going more for the texture rather than having perfect spheres. And see, this can has more of them in it. So you never know what you're going to get with the Hearts of Palm. So that's kind of fun too.
I've seen people use them in place of scallops in a recipe.
Yes, because I think because when you slice them, that circular shape. And, scallops have kind of a mild flavor too. So you can use these in place of a lot of different seafoods. Some people make like kind of like a lobster kind of thing. You can bread it and air fry it. So we're just slicing them up. So you can see they're in rings. And if I take the rings apart, they're like smaller rings. So we're just gonna put those in our bowl. So yeah, we'll just slice these up, and like I said, if it falls apart a little, that's okay. We don't worry about that. We just put them all together.
Is there any salt in the Hearts of Palm? And if so, people maybe could soak it a little bit.
Yeah, it depends on the brand that you buy. So these ones, let's see, these ones do have a little bit of sea salt. So in that case, if you are salt free, then you definitely just want to rinse them and drain them well so that you get the salt off. But basically the water that they're in is just a little bit of water with sea salt. And it's very little, like they don't really taste salty.
That's great.
Yeah.
Where is the Hearts of Palm from palm trees? I think I should know this.
It actually is. Yeah, it's from a particular kind of palm trees. And they grow in Florida in the United States. And then they also grow in South America and some Southeast Asian countries. These Hearts of Palm from Trader Joe's are sustainably sourced from Guatemala. So they actually have, they're not destroying the rainforest there. Hopefully, I mean, we're just taking their word for it. But from what I understand is they're actually growing these palm trees specifically for the Hearts of Palm. And they are very popular in Florida and in South America. They use them a lot in salads. So it's not something that, kind of became popular with vegans. It's an ingredient that was already something that was common in South America and Latin America.
Nice. I know I've seen people like bread them.
Yeah. So you can bread them, make, all different kind of seafood. Like I saw, someone made recently, I saw like a calamari. And she posted it on her Instagram, and she got a lot of comments like, wait, I thought that you were vegan. And it turns out, it was just the Hearts of Palm, but no one could tell because it was breaded. And that's something I think too with a lot of those dishes that we're, maybe grew up eating that were breaded, we're really enjoying like the breading. It's not so much what's in the breading per se, So I think that some plant-based options can be a wonderful substitute.
That's very cool. Yeah, I even just in a salad, Hearts of Palm is delicious.
Yeah, it's got a great texture. Adds a little bit of flavor. So we have our Hearts of Palm here. And then what I'm going to go ahead and put the lime juice in now. So this is a half a cup of fresh lime juice. So in traditional ceviche, lime juice is used to like cook the seafood. So basically it's a raw dish where they put fish or seafood and cover it with lime juice, and the acid from the lime juice will cook that fish. So in our case, we just have the Hearts of Palm, so we don't need to worry about that, but we just are using the lime juice to get that nice flavor. So then what we're going to do is we're going to chop up the rest of our ingredients to add. So we're going to use some red onion, and you can either slice this or you can dice it finely. I do either. They're both great options. So I'm just going to dice this. And, you can use different onion if you want, like maybe like a sweet onion would be nice, like kind of a Maui style onion. But usually I like the red onion because it provides some color as well as the mild flavor. But really, anything that you have on hand, that can work.
Yeah, red onion is so pretty.
Yeah, it really is. So that's, one of the reasons why I really like it, because, I feel like we eat with our eyes first. So, adding the different color to it, it really makes it appealing. And in fact, I over the summer, I brought this dish to a barbecue, and I was actually the only person that was vegan. And, I brought this Hearts of Palm Ceviche, a small amount of it. And, I told people right off what it was. And I figured, maybe some people would try it, but not everyone. Well, it turned out to be such a hit that I should have brought a full batch of it, because, I think once people try it, they realize, oh, wow, that is really good. So next, we're going to add up some diced jalapeno peppers. So I removed actually, I had my boyfriend do this for me, because I don't know about you, but I'm really sensitive to cutting hot peppers. So the fumes just goes up my nose and in my eyes. So I had him do this last night for me. He did a great job. And so I removed the seeds from the jalapenos, because I didn't want it quite as spicy. But if you like spice, then leave the seeds in. And this is like 2 small jalapeno peppers, but you can add as much or as little as you like. So if you don't like spice at all, you can leave it out. You can actually use some sweet bell pepper if you want for color, or just completely leave it out. You can add more peppers in there if you like it spicy. It's completely up to you. And then we're going to add some cherry tomatoes. So these are actually some heirloom cherry tomatoes that I got, because I really like the color. I think they're really pretty. But red obviously gives a great pop-up color. So we're just going to, this one's a little bit bigger, so I'm going to cut this in 8s. But we're basically going to quarter the tomatoes. So like this is a regular size, so quartering it is good. And it's just going to add a little extra color and flavor and texture. So I'm going to just go ahead and do that. And again, you can use whatever tomatoes that you have. If you have a larger tomato, you can just dice that up. I'm using the serrated knife. It's like a tomato knife. It makes it a little easier to cut the tomatoes. And also plum tomatoes are a great option. You could just use like, 1 or 2 plum tomatoes. Those are nice because they hold their texture. So I would say any firmer tomato, like if you had an heirloom tomato, you'd probably want to drain off some of the excess juice from that, because it might make the ceviche a little too watery. But in general, cherry tomatoes or grape tomatoes, those are always great for ceviche.
Have you ever seen those little, they look like little teardrops almost.
Yeah, I love those.
Yeah, those are
great too.
And they're generally pretty firm.
They are. Yeah, that's a great choice. And they have those in like yellow and orange, and yeah, just add such nice color.
You know what tomatoes I love, Amy? And they're not the prettiest, but they're brown. They're called Kumato tomatoes, and they have them at Trader Joe's, but they taste so good.
Yeah, those are really good. I like those.
So
I'm gonna put the tomatoes in, and they're a little juicy, so I'm just gonna leave the excess juice on the cutting board. So we have our tomatoes, and then the last thing that we're going to add is avocado. So this is, I usually use 1 avocado, but these avocados are pretty small, so I'm going to use 2. But if you do not use avocados, like if you don't like avocados or you're trying to avoid the excess fat, then another great option would be to add mango. So you can use any variety of mango and just dice that up. So basically you just cut off like the cheeks of the mango and then slice those up, dice them, slice them in each direction, and then add those to your ceviche. So that would be a fun alternative to the avocado. So, but if you just want to leave it out entirely, that is completely fine. So it's always a treat when we get good avocados because we don't want the brown ones in there for sure. So these ones are looking good. Yeah, so we got two good ones. So I am just going to dice these up. And the avocado is nice because it adds some creaminess to the ceviche, and I'm an avocado lover anyway. So any excuse for me to add avocados, I'm going to do it. But again, if you want to avoid the avocados, it's not a problem. You could also use some diced cucumber instead. That will kind of give a similar color to the ceviche, and cucumbers are really nice and refreshing this time of year.
Yeah, I love that mango idea though. That sounds really great.
Yeah, it's a great combination with the Hearts of Palm. It's kind of gives you a tropical ceviche.
I love it. Do you serve it in a martini glass? I often see it served in
oh yeah, that is so much fun. I have done that before. Yeah, especially with the mango, for some reason, it just like the extra color, and it just looks so pretty in the martini glass. So I will show you a couple options for serving this as well. So I just diced up the avocado. I just take out the pit, and then I just slice it vertically and horizontally, and then I just use my spoon to scoop it out. And again, we don't have to be perfect. So if your avocado is a little softer and it doesn't come out cleanly, it's okay. We don't need to have this perfect. All right, so we have all our ingredients. And then if you want, you can add a little bit of salt, but don't worry if you don't do salt, you can leave it out. So I'm just gonna add a tiny bit of salt. It kind of, brings out the flavors along with the lime juice. It's a nice combination, but totally optional. So I'm gonna stir this. And again, you can make this ahead of time and cover and refrigerate it, even for a couple days. So if you are having guests and you want to prep ahead, this is such an easy, fun recipe to make. You can just take it out of the refrigerator and serve it immediately chilled. But we can also enjoy it right away. We don't need to refrigerate it first, unlike traditional ceviche, which would need to be refrigerated so that the seafood gets cooked. But we don't need to worry since ours is plant-based.
Yep, another great thing, huh?
Yeah. All right, so here it is. So it's nice and colorful. And yeah, so I want to show you a couple ways I like to serve it. So I love that the martini glass idea, so fun. But another way that I like to serve it, or if you want to have it for yourself, is by serving it in some lettuce leaves. So I have some nice crisp little romaine lettuce leaves here. You could use any kind of lettuce that you like. Butter lettuce, like that's a great option. So I am just going to put a little bit in the leaves. So you kind of have like these like lettuce cups or lettuce boats. And it's really pretty and such a fun way to eat it. And especially now, I don't know, I think where you live, it's hot too, Chef AJ, but it suddenly got hot here this week.
Yeah, even though it gets hot here, what's nice is it's not like living in the desert because it cools off in the night and the morning, and I'm working inside all day, so it doesn't bother me,
Yeah, that's nice. Yeah, so here it's served in some lettuce leaves. So I think that looks really nice. That's refreshing. So, you could eat this any time of day, lunch, dinner, snack, whatever you want. So that's one way. And then,
I was thinking, how about endive leaves?
oh yeah, anti leaves would be great because you get that little bit of like that bitter sweet flavor. That'd be a great combination with the ceviche. Yeah, great idea. Or like if you really like bitter, like the radicchio leaves.
Yeah, or both.
Beautiful.
Maybe
Or
alternate.
both.
That would be like pretty.
Yeah.
I was thinking maybe like shape it like a flower on a
Oh
plate.
yeah. I like the way you think. That's really good. And then a lot of times you'll see people eat it with tortilla chips. Or a lot of times restaurants, especially Mexican restaurants, will serve ceviche with tortilla chips. So what I did right before we went live is I just heated up some corn tortillas just in my skillet, no oil, just on the stove for a couple minutes so they got crispy. And then I just like cut them into the shape of chips. So it's really great. I love the corn flavor with the ceviche. And you could also make these in your air fryer. That's a great idea too. So this is just simply the corn tortillas, no oil, no salt. You could also keep the tortilla whole, like a tostada. Like a lot of times you'll see that too. So then you could just put the ceviche on top of the tostada, and that makes it great for like dinner or lunch. So there's really just so many different ways that you can serve this.
Wow, that looks beautiful. Tell us about your eating. What do you eat in a day?
Oh boy, that's a great question. Well, let's see. For breakfast, I'm not a huge breakfast person. Like I could eat the same breakfast every day, and doesn't bother me. So a lot of times, I will just have. I like buying the brown rice cakes. And I will put some peanut butter on those and then top it with berries. My favorite is fresh raspberries. So that's one of my favorites. Or I'll just go for like a simple cereal, like oatmeal or overnight oats. Or I really like, I can't think of the brand, but they make a cornflake that's sweetened with pear juice, so there's no sugar.
Is it Barbara by any chance?
Oh, it's Nature's Path Organic. Yeah, Nature's Path Organic. So I really like their cornflakes. And so I'll just have that with a little unsweetened soy milk and fresh berries. And I'm perfectly happy with that for breakfast. And then for lunch, I usually like to have a really big salad. So I will use all different lettuces and greens. I like to grow a lot of lettuce and greens. I have a lettuce grow hydroponic farm stand. So I will have a variety in there. So I have, like right now, I have some different lettuces. I have kale, and I have rainbow chard. And rainbow chard is actually one of my favorite greens to use for salad. A lot of people, it's not as popular as kale or spinach, but it's really versatile and it's very tender. So you can use it raw or cooked. And I like to just chop it up and use that in my salad. So, combining a few different greens. I love to do air fried chickpeas. So I'll just put those in the air fryer but first I'll toss them with a little bit of seasoning, and I just do all different, whatever I'm in the mood for, either spice blend or individual seasonings like, onion powder, garlic powder. I like Italian seasoning. I like sumac, which has a very nice lemony citrus flavor. I think sumac is such an underutilized spice, but it's great like on top of like hummus. But yeah, so delicious. So I'll just air fry those for About like 10 or 15 minutes. So I don't like them completely crunchy, but just a little bit crunchy on the outside. And I'll add those to the salad, add some tomatoes, cucumbers, radishes, whatever I have on hand. So I always enjoy a big salad for lunch. And dinner, I kind of go with, different things like maybe a soup or stew if it's not too hot out. I do like pasta, usually make pasta once a week. I like tacos a lot. So, I'll heat up my corn tortillas and use whatever I have for filling, like, cauliflower, sweet potatoes, chickpeas, just all different veggies, black beans, and, love that. So I'd say those are kind of some of my favorite things.
Nice. You mentioned sumac. I love sumac.
Yeah, it's so great, and it's great too if you like to roast vegetables. That is just, I think, one of the best seasonings for vegetables to bring out like extra flavor, and it really complements pretty much any vegetable you can think of. So, you just toss it through and just, roast in the oven, and it's just so delicious.
Do you do any kind of batch cooking?
I do sometimes. I'm not huge on planning my meals in advance because I kind of like to just go with what I'm in the mood for. But I will, batch things like if I want to cook up a batch of brown rice so I can have it for different recipes. I like to do that in my Instant Pot. Just so that it's available, or sometimes you want to have cool rice available in your refrigerator if you want to make like a fried rice, which I always do without oil, and that way you have that cold rice ready to go. Or sometimes I'll freeze extra brown rice, so I have that. I like to put rice in salads as well, like especially if I'm doing a salad that is not lettuce based. Then I'll start with the cooked rice and add in like maybe lentils or some kind of bean, and all different veggies. And I love lime juice in that too. That's really delicious. And maybe a little bit of cayenne pepper, just a touch for some heat. So yeah, it's great to have things like grains batch cooked, or like oatmeal for breakfast, or overnight oats. And when I am going to cook beans from dried, then of course, I'll make a big batch and do that in the Instant Pot. And then I can either use those during the week or freeze them for later. So that's always really convenient too.
Carmina, who's watching live, wants to know what's your favorite salad dressing?
Oh, that's a great question. Well, okay, so I said that I love avocado. So what I like to do is do like a blender dressing where I take some avocado and some citrus juice, and or I'll use some vinegar, like red wine vinegar, and I'll thin it out with a little bit of water, and then I'll put in seasonings like I really like oregano with the avocado, and it kind of makes like sort of a Greek style dressing, and that's really nice. And then if I'm being like really lazy, where I don't want to make a dressing at all and I just want something quick and easy, my favorite thing to put on salads is coconut vinegar. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if you're a fan of coconut vinegar, Chef AJ.
Well, when you say coconut vinegar, do you mean like one of the balsamic vinegars that's in the coconut flavor, or do you mean like the coconut vinegar that is from Coconut Secret? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, from Coconut Secret, exactly. So it actually, so they can make like, well, when you think of like maple trees, how they tap the maple tree and they get the syrup, well, they can do the same thing with coconut trees, and then they can make things like the coconut aminos, there's coconut syrup. But one of my absolute favorite things is the coconut vinegar, they can make that from the sap of the coconut tree. So it's not actually from the coconuts itself, it's from the tree. So it's, it doesn't have any fat in it, and it's just got a really nice taste. It's similar to apple cider vinegar, but it doesn't have the as much acidity. So it doesn't have like the harshness to apple cider vinegar. So
Doesn't have
I
the
find,
bite.
yeah, it doesn't exactly, it doesn't have the bite. So the coconut vinegar is really mild, and I absolutely love it on salads. And another thing that I like to do, if you're someone who eats tofu, is I will take cubes of extra firm tofu, and I will marinate it in the coconut vinegar and dried oregano, and it will make like what I call like a vegan feta cheese. And it's
Wow.
absolutely delicious.
That's
Yes.
very cool. Well,
Yeah.
do you like balsamic vinegar? Because you get 2 free bottles for
Ooh.
being on the show. You can pick whatever flavor you want. And the reason I asked is they do have a coconut flavor.
Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah,
It's a little
I
on the
love
sweet side,
balsamic.
but yeah,
Yeah, that sounds wonderful. Thank
yeah.
you.
Somebody's asking what kind of pasta do you use and like?
So I have to eat gluten free because I have a gluten sensitivity. So I like to use some of the blends. There are the pastas, of course, made from chickpeas or lentils, and those are nice choices. But if I want something that tastes more like the traditional semolina pasta that I'm used to, that I grew up with, then I will use a blend. I really like the ones that are like brown rice and corn, or maybe brown rice and quinoa. So any kind of combination of the brown rice, corn, and quinoa, that's kind of my favorite texture, because I feel like that is closest to the wheat pasta that I, really used to love.
Hearts of Palm, which you use today, they actually make noodles out of them. Lasagna
Yeah.
noodles, angel hair, they even sell them at Trader Joe's and Sprouts. So Hearts of Palm, that you can make the pasta out of those.
Absolutely. And that is so delicious especially with a tomato based sauce. Like you can just chop up some cherry tomatoes or whatever kind of tomatoes you like, and toss it with some fresh minced garlic and some fresh basil. And oh, it's absolutely delicious.
Absolutely. Do you have time in your busy blogging day to exercise at all?
I do. I make time for it because it's very important to me. I am an avid runner. I've been running consistently for about 25 years now. So I used to compete a lot. I ran a lot of marathons. I've run 40 marathons altogether.
You're
And
kidding. Which ones have you
yeah.
run? That's
Yeah, oh,
amazing.
all over the place. So let's see, the last one I did was in Honolulu. And I've run marathons in Paris, Dublin, Ireland. Let's see, Chicago Marathon's one of my favorites. And then, California, I've run San Francisco many times, LA, San Diego. But yeah, all over the place. Grandma's Marathon in Duluth, Minnesota. That's a great one. So it's a really fun way to get to travel and do something I love at the same time.
That's cool. Rachel wants to know what your favorite soup is.
Ooh, you know what? I am a big fan of lentil soup. I like to make it in my Instant Pot, and I will just add whatever vegetables that I have, and definitely onion and garlic, and carrots and celery. But I'll add other things like broccoli or cauliflower, and just saute that up in a little bit of water, and then I'll add in the dried lentils, and I like potatoes in it too. So some diced potatoes, and sometimes I'll do like a more tomato-based broth. So I'll add in some canned tomatoes, and then either vegetable broth or water, and some dried thyme or Italian seasoning, some bay leaves, and then just slap the lid on, cook it for, let's see, probably about 10 minutes for those lentils, and good to go. It's delicious.
Do you ever teach any cooking classes?
You know what? I haven't. I've done one live class that was before the pandemic, but yeah, I would love to get into teaching cooking classes either online or in person. I think that would be a lot of fun.
Do you have a YouTube channel? If not, where do you like people to hang with you?
Yeah, you know what? I don't have a YouTube yet. I was actually chatting with Kathy Hester yesterday, and I think she's going to get me to go onto YouTube one of these days. But
Well,
right
you're on
now,
YouTube right now.
yeah, I'm on YouTube right now. But you know, one of these days I'll start my own channel. But my blog is the best place to find my recipes at veggiessavetheday.com. And you can also find me everywhere, pretty much on social media at Veggies Save the Day, on Facebook, Instagram, and I do post a lot of recipes over on Pinterest as well. So you can follow me there. They actually shortened. They don't have enough room for Veggie Save the Day, so they're just as Veggie Save. But you can find some exclusive recipes over there as well.
Is there a book in your future?
Oh, you know, that is one of my goals. I definitely want to publish a cookbook. Right now, I just have some ebooks that are on for sale on my website. But you know, I think once I find the right topic for a cookbook, that is definitely in my future.
Nice. Of the 40 marathons you run, which one would you say was your favorite, and which one did you perform the best at?
I would say they're both the same. The Chicago Marathon. That I've run that one 3 times, and back when I was a little younger, I got my best time ever there, which was 3 hours 37 minutes. And that did qualify me to run the Boston Marathon, which I also really enjoyed. But there's something really special about the Chicago Marathon. It's a great course. You get to tour pretty much the entire city on foot. And they have the best fans there. They all come out and line the streets. So it's a very exciting race to run.
Nice. You know, you mentioned earlier you had brought the dish you made today to a barbecue and you were the only one there that was vegan. Do you have any vegan friends or family or anyone you've helped influence to change their diet?
Yeah, I'm fortunate that a lot of my close friends who you know, in real life are vegan as well. And I would say they influenced me. One of my friends I met back when I was newer to running, and she became vegan. Her name is Annette. So shout out to Annette if she's watching. And she had the most profound influence on me. And I saw how well she did as an athlete, on, you know, following a vegan diet. And she is just so knowledgeable about the animals and the environment and health. And she really motivated me and inspired me to start my own journey. And I am fortunate that I do have a close circle of friends who are also vegan. And, you know, we enjoy getting together and making food for each other or trying different restaurants. So it's really a great community. But for my family, my boyfriend is vegetarian, and he became vegetarian after we started dating. So he's very close to being vegan, but you know, that's okay. He's on his own journey, so I fully support him. And my father lives with us. He's 80, and while he eats, you know, pretty much anything, he has become a lot healthier since living with us. Because he does eat my dinners every day, and he absolutely loves vegan food.
That's fantastic. Well, have your boyfriend see Game Changers, because, you know, dairy is
Yeah.
actually the most problematic of all the things they could eat, you know, especially when it comes to prostate cancer and stuff. So, but that's
Oh,
amazing. Hey, I'm curious, Amy, were you a runner before you were vegan?
I was, yeah. And you know, a lot of people are worried about that, you know, if they are athletic or they participate in a sport, that, you know, they won't be able to do it if they stop eating, you know, meat and dairy. but there is absolutely nothing to worry about because you can get, all of the nutrition that you need. It's really easy if you're plant-based or vegan, and it will not negatively impact your athletic performance at all. And it could even help it improve because you may lose some weight. It all depends, but it can only help. It's not going to hurt.
That's that. Okay. So you noticed an improvement in your running then?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that my running itself may not have improved so much, but
your recovery, maybe your
recovery, exactly. The recovery, I started recovering much quicker than I did before.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, thanks so much for being vegan and making delicious vegan recipes for people.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me, Chef AJ.
You're wonderful. You're very, you got very good energy. You're very chill. You'll be perfect for when you start your YouTube channel.
Oh, thank you so much.
And I'm guessing it might be called Veggies Save the Day.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it's gotta be.
It's a great name. You really need to start making t-shirts that say that.
Yes. Yeah, that would be fun. I should definitely do that.
Sell some swag, girl. Well, thank you so much. It was a pleasure meeting you, Amy.
Thank you, Chef. It's great to meet you.
It's my pleasure. And thanks all of you for watching another episode of Chef AJ Live. Please come back tomorrow when my guest is a plant-based physical therapist, Eileen Kapsaf. I can never say her name, Kapsaftis. And she's going to be talking about if diet and exercise can help those of you that have back pain.